Hey everyone, it is Wednesday, and you know what that means? We bring back our longest running guest and expert, Anna Kelly. How you doing, Anna?
I'm great today. It's snowy and really pretty here in Pennsylvania.
Oh, you say snow, I start shivering. I
Yeah,
don't do well.
it is cold.
Yeah, I didn't see snow until I was 18. Can you believe that? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I saw just a little bit. I remember when I was 6 years old in Texas, it snowed up to my knees, and it
Oh,
was the only time I had ever seen snow like that again till I
wow.
went to Colorado when I was 15. So we got, maybe flurries twice in my life in Texas, and I moved to Pennsylvania, and it was quite eye-opening. So it's beautiful. I don't like to be out in it unless I'm in my hot tub, but I do like to see it. It just brings that kind of Christmas
Yeah, that
feel,
that I did. I remember I used to travel, as you know, for work. I remember being, I forget what city it was, but it was the first dusting. That's really pretty.
Yeah.
But then it heats up and then it gets really yucky.
Don't remind me of that part. I'm enjoying this
I'm sorry.
flurry.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm kidding.
So the first topic I want to talk about, and it's really come to me because it's the holiday season. Also because we're flipping a year, and a lot of people kind of reassess their yearly, goals and New Year's resolutions. And that is one I don't think you and I. This topic is one you and I haven't touched on, and that really is all the hard work, the struggle, the sacrifice of real estate investing, getting started, not knowing where you're going, all of that. Just simply said, is it worth it? I mean,
Mm.
we both have got to the other side, but is it worth it? I mean, when I say that, what jumps out at you?
Yes, yes, yes. It's worth it. So that's the first thing. But I've thought about this, and as I coach students, and we had these conversations literally this week with a couple of my students. Is right now, while it's like, where are their deals, and they're so expensive, and I'm spending so much time analyzing deals and not finding it, or I'm having a major problem with a septic system that we can't replace, and zoning and all kinds of issues keep it from happening without losing a lot of money. And we talked about, is it worth it? And while you have bumps in the road, and there are some really, really, really hard and challenging things that will make you or break you in your life as a real estate investor, when you look at the grand picture and what it gains you, and the fact that real estate really is the greatest wealth creator in history of anything else out there. Sure, you have, techies that, build something great and they sell it, but it's so few people that can do that. And for the average American person, you can learn to become a real estate investor. You can put in the time and the sweat to learn and go through the blood, sweat, and tears, and you can create true wealth and legacy wealth for your family and true financial freedom. And anything you do that's worth doing is hard.
Yeah.
But the rewards are like nothing else, Michael. And I'm so glad that I started, and nothing that I've been through that was hard would have been worth it for me to give up.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it exactly that way, because it's so true. A couple of things that I noted when you were going through that. Yeah, I talk to students all the time, and I just had one post yesterday. I just did a video on it this morning at 8 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. And that is 2020's been hard, right? It's been the hardest year even for me, right? I think I've written 250 or so offers on MLS based properties, which is what I retired on,
Yeah.
and got nothing. I think I got like 10 counters or something,
Wow.
just nothing happening. And that's not normal. It's because of little inventory, owner occupants,
Mhm.
buying anything that's clean. But if you're willing to do the work, right? A student of mine who bought the course 8 months ago. And as I say, you need to take 10 to 20 minutes a day, every day. 8 months he did it. 8 months.
Yeah.
His name's Angel. He just locked up a duplex, and he's done the
Awesome.
math, and it's a great deal. And
Awesome.
posted it in the Facebook. It's just, yes, it's worth it. If
Yeah.
if you can, I guess the point of this talk is, if you can get through 2020 and just learn, right? Whether it's evaluating apartment deals or whatever. I don't necessarily think you have to lock up a deal, but if as long as you know what is a good or great deal in your market of your asset type, you've won.
Right.
It's impossible to buy lots of stuff today because there's no inventory. It's an inventory problem.
Right. Right.
Um,
And
that
4 things you just said that kinda, I mean, that you said without saying,
Mhm.
right? is that you're patient.
Yep.
You have to be persistent. You're actually taking action and doing that, taking action, 250 offers, while you might feel like, oh, I got nothing.
Mm.
You got even better at evaluating deals. You got better at making offers. So you're growing during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And real estate is all about those things. You
Yeah.
have to be patient. You have to be persistent. You have to grow, and you have to continually take action. And then I think the fifth thing is you have to persevere. So
Yeah.
when we talk about the hard things, and when people say, is it worth it? They're talking about the challenges of, I had a fire last year, or I had a
Yep.
mold claim, or I had a tenant that slipped and sued me, or I had a hoarder that trashed my place and cost me $10,000. They see those things and go, it's not worth it. I could never be a landlord. But if
Yeah.
I go through those things once a year or two, and
Yeah.
the rest of the time it's fairly smooth, you know, you have painful things in anything. You have
Yeah.
painful job issues that in any, corporation. You have stress in any job that you have on a day-to-day basis. And real estate is one of those things that you go through those things, you grow, and they make you better and wiser for it for the next time. And then it just gets easier and easier and easier to deal with those hiccups when they come, because you've built this resilience and this fortitude that says, this is one blip in a lifelong journey of wealth creation that I can get through, and I'll be okay.
Yeah, that's so wonderfully said. I think there's even more there. The other thing about those list of five, I think there's a sixth one, and that is when you know your numbers, you don't overpay. I mean, how many
Right?
times in the beginning? I mean, I was guilty of it in the beginning. I would go, oh shoot, I'm only 5 grand away. Well, 5 grand's an extra $1,000 out of pocket because you got to put 20% down, and then that'll impact your yield, and your mortgage payment goes up a little bit. I mean, it just no, you know your number, you're comfortable with where you're at, and you just keep moving forward. And I think if you're doing that in 2020, you're going to kill it in 2021 because the inventory is going to show up.
Yeah.
Um,
And sometimes the best deal is the one you didn't do.
oh,
It's
thank you.
better not to do a deal that is not really a great deal, that you're going to regret that you did in a year or two,
Mhm.
than to do mediocre deals. So
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, right, getting to the other side. I mean, when I was starting out, again, I think I've told you, I wasn't even thinking about financial freedom. I mean, it was so foreign to me in the beginning. I
yeah,
just wanted to have
me
a
too.
slightly better future.
Yeah, me
That's all I
too.
wanted. I mean,
Me too.
I figured I'd have
But
to
what
work
you
forever.
realize is
Mhm.
once you start doing it and you're like, okay, this is a little better. Now I
Yeah.
got some cash flow coming in. Now I've got a lot of cash flow coming in. Now, whoa, now my balance sheet's really good. My net
Yeah.
worth is really good. And I think that I could replace my income. And then you start thinking bigger.
And
It's
what year
not
was
just
that
about,
for you where you went from, just trying to have a better future to like, oh, I mean, was it like year 3, year 4, year 8? I mean, where was that?
oh, let me think. First it was just let me be home with my babies. And
Yeah.
so, I always wanted to replace my income. That was the goal for me from day one, from the first,
Yeah.
property that I flipped. And then it was, probably when AIG almost went under in 2009,
Hmm.
that I realized I've got two apartment buildings that are bringing me income that the rents aren't stopping. And yet my job is strong. My company that I thought was like unbreakable was on the verge of bankruptcy. One of the
Yeah.
largest companies in the world. My stock went down. I lost so much of my 401k, as we've talked. My husband's entrepreneurship business was struggling, and
Hmm.
I'm like, you know what? The only thing I can depend on is my passive income. I need more. So then
Yeah.
it kind of became more than I just need to replace my income. But if I can replace my income, then I want to keep doing it and keep going. So um, it was always about that financial freedom for me so that I could be home and
Hmm.
depend on the passive income. It wasn't until probably a year before I was going to retire, like I finally made that number,
Yeah.
that I realized, why would I stop? Like, the pain has been worth it. And when I only have one job to do, which is real estate, instead of two jobs to do, my job and real estate,
Yeah.
I'm like, it's going to feel like half as hard. And it's actually maybe a fourth as hard as it was before.
Oh, for
So it
sure.
gets easier and easier and easier. And you realize, why would I stop when I can create now legacy wealth instead of
Yeah.
just that replacing my job and being check to check, but through passive income.
Yeah, for me, it was interesting. I don't think I've ever spoke about this. When it really flipped for me was actually during the crisis, right? When real estate in my market was falling 3 to 5% a month, right? When that was going on, we happened to already be out of houses into apartments. And sure, our net worth was taking a hit because everything was worth less, but cash flow was just like through the roof.
Yeah.
Right. We 1031, where debt, LTV was, 60% or something. So it was lots of cash flow. I'm like, this does work. It was like a light bulb moment. It's like, oh, some is good, more is better. Right. So that was kind of the aha moment for me. But that was 8 years in.
Yeah.
And that's embarrassing to say. 8 years in, before I was like, and for me, the first thought was replacing Olivia, my wife's income. Right, that was the first thought.
Sure.
It was the smaller of the two,
Yeah.
but not by much. But that was, that was really good.
Yeah. And back then, Michael, nobody was talking about real estate to create true financial freedom and wealth. I mean, maybe the very wealthy were talking about it, but
Yeah, I wasn't in that circle.
Yeah, I wasn't in that circle. I had very wealthy clients, but we were dealing with their financial advisors, and they're talking about hedge fund investments. So they never really talked about they had real estate, and that's how I kind of had aha, like wealthy people have real estate. One day I want some, but there just wasn't enough education out there. So people are so blessed now to have books like yours and this weekly podcasts, and you do daily talks. It's like there's so much information now and people like us that can prove to you that it is doable, that now people have the ability with education to go, this is possible. When we were starting out, we didn't know anybody that was telling us that is possible. We're just like, let's just make a little extra money.
Yeah, you're so right. Cause that's what I spent over a decade trying to find that proof, right? Because all the, there was Rich Dad Poor Dad, which we've talked about. It doesn't show you how.
Right.
Right. And then there's other people that do have the how book, but they're trying to sell you something. Right. So I can smell that stuff out in a minute.
Right.
There wasn't a story like, again, the one that I wrote, the books that you've been a part of. It's like, hey, this is the story, right? Just take what you want, right? Belief if you want. Otherwise, there it is. So it's pretty crazy. You're right. There FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. There was none of that.
Right.
Right. That's pretty interesting. So again, the struggle of real estate investing in the beginning, it's real, right? All of us have to build up that kind of callous,
right,
and that fortitude, but it is so worth it, right?
Oh, 100%. It's the best. I tell everybody it's the best thing I've ever done. I can't tell people enough. Should I buy a house? No, go house hack a 4-unit. Do that. Save money. Save where you can while you work on expanding your means. And that's the thing about real estate that allows you to really expand your means and create wealth very, very quickly if you do it wisely. If you're looking to flip houses, and I've flipped houses, and it's not a knock on house flippers, but house flipping is another job.
Oh, it's yes.
Unless you build, or it becomes a company, you become an entrepreneur. You can, if you don't want to build a company, you don't want a job, you can truly buy rental properties, hire a property manager, have it totally income, and just create cash flow every single, month. And then that mortgage is paid down. And then at the end of the time, even if it takes you 20 years, those mortgages are paid off and you're financially free. And there's nothing like that. The fact that you can take a 6-figure job and retire, 20 something years early. It's like, would I do that all over again to buy my financial freedom 20 years earlier than the American dream?
Absolutely.
All day, every day, bring it on.
Twice on Sunday.
Exactly. So just get in the game and don't give up when things are hard. You have to play the long game and have the big picture in mind that every challenge and crisis will grow you stronger and eventually make you money, even if you lose on any one particular deal.
Well, with that, we're going to leave this one there. Again, I like how Anna asked the question is yes, 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 yes. It's worth it. Anna, thank you very much.
Thank you.